Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
So Hamilton blows out those coordinators. Edmonton fires a coach just to get back on point here. And you look at all the changes teams have made. Montreal, I don't get why nobody's talking about Montreal. Are they not 10-11? Or sorry, 10-1 out of 11 games. They got a chance to do what Toronto did last year. Did Toronto not clinch first by mid-September? You know, they had a half a season that didn't mean anything. So now we're down to the final third for the Montreal Alouettes. Is there a danger, do you think, for them of clinching too soon?
There is. There's always a danger of complacency, especially, you know, what's going to change this year is you've got Toronto, probably Ottawa and Hamilton all in really a dogfight playing playoff football now the rest of the way. They really are. They're playing playoff football the rest of the way. There's going to be multiple head-to-heads between them, and Montreal's in the driver's seat. So unless they, you know, something happens and they drop a couple of games here and things get interesting, there is a concern of complacency, especially when they've been so good for so long. You go back to last season and the run they went on, and then through the Grey Cup, and then this season, and none of this has been without adversity. They've had to come back in games. I get that multiple times. But what's going to happen if they lose one or two in a row here? Can they recover? That's when you'll see some pressure on Jason Moss and Cody Fajardo.
It's interesting because the Argos last year didn't do anything wrong, Toronto. They just clinched in mid-September, the earliest ever, I think at 12-1. That's what you want to do. Win every game if you can. And then they didn't handle it well, hosting in the Eastern Final, how they handled their personnel, but now they have a chance to redeem themselves this year. It's a heck of a story.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bain Norrie.
How about that?
Bain says, "Did I ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bain."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'm going to tell you something. Hi, everybody. Cray. If you're cold, this is the show for you today because we're going to heat things up on Canada's daytime sports talk show. Yeah, buddy. Airing in 32 U.S. states. I don't know why they like us, but they do. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. Moose, are you ready to spice it up? You kind of have an idea what it's going to be, but you don't really know. So how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, except my mic stand calved just before the show, so we're working around that. No big deal, but it's not getting fixed. I'll tell you that. The thing snapped in half. Never seen that before.
Yeah, well, when you broadcast from your couch, these things are going to happen, right? I don't know. It's fine. I think you'll get through it. You're fine. Coming up on the program today, the newest guy to have a bobblehead. The voice of the Saskatoon Blades, Les Lazaruk, and former Winnipeg Jets broadcaster as well. Lester's going to be with us in hour 2. And I'm ready to jump right into it. So can you hit the quick 6 show horn, Director Ryan? I'm assuming it's Ryan today. I don't know. They don't tell me anymore. Oh, it's Brian. It's a fun game of guess who the director is. It's so much fun. The poll question is where the spice is. And I want everybody to settle in, get comfortable, fill up your coffee, undo your sweatpants if that's what you're into. And we'll talk about last night's NHL games, and then we'll get into where the real heat of the matter is. So the opening point is the big story. NHL leftovers somewhat. The bigger story is what our poll question is going to be, but there was only 4 games last night. Alex Ovechkin was held off the score sheet, but the Washington Capitals still won. They doubled the visiting Vancouver Canucks 2-1. Pierre-Luc Dubois scored both goals for the Caps. Ovi's still 23 goals away from breaking the Great One's NHL all-time goals record. He's going to do it, obviously. The question is when. Canucks have lost back-to-back games in overtime. Meanwhile, I'm thinking it was TNT. I can't remember anymore. There's so many networks. But Connor Bedard had a goal and an assist to lead the Chicago Blackhawks to a 3-1 win over the visiting Colorado Avalanche. Bedsy, as his friends call him, extended his point streak to 8 games, and the 19-year-old leads the Blackhawks in points with 11 goals and 26 assists. So I enjoyed that game. Panthers won at Utah 3-1, and the Kings-Flames game in L.A. was delayed. We could spend some time on that. Postponed because of the Los Angeles fires, and that's terrible. But there were only 3 games, actually, last night. 4 scheduled. 1 was postponed. I think I picked 2 right. You picked 1 right. That's what it was. And I'm creeping up on you. 19-17, Darren leads in the picks. And I feel like you're going to be goggles paisano on the Flintstones. You're not going to let me pass. You're just going to get in front of me, sort of like what I did in the CFL season. You're just going to stay out in front of me as long as you can. It's a little early to play that game, though.
Yeah, you're playing with fire when you start looking over your shoulder. You got to run your own race. Maybe do it at the end, but hey, we'll see.
Yeah, well, so I want to just say this before we get into the real spice. The Bedard thing last night. He looked great, and it's just I don't know if it's new or what it is. I think social media has added a lot to this, but they're really pumping up Bedard on the broadcast last night, and he didn't really need it. He made some tremendous plays last night. He had 2 points, as I said. The Chicago won 3-1. But I see Tim Peel, everybody's favorite former NHL referee, putting on Twitter last week that, I don't know if you saw it, but he said that Bedard's overrated and Celebrini's a better player. Everybody's wanting to say that Bedard's overrated. And I'm like, look, if there's one thing that you can take away, Darren, put this on the 147th story of my tombstone, you're not going to change people's minds. So we can sit and do a sell job or try and sway people or whatever. But if the NHL wants to prop up Connor Bedard, and if I believe he's all that and he's the next one, he's in the McDavid Crosby realm, which I believe that he is, you're not going to convince me otherwise. Even if I saw it on the ice, I don't think I would believe it. Yet those that think he's overrated, I really think they think that he is. So I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree. What do you think on Bedard?
Yeah, I think there's something like, I think he's fine. Like, Bedard is fine. He's going to be great. I'm with you. I consider him in the Crosby and McDavid and Ovechkin class. I really do, as a generational player, and he's going to be great. Celebrini's great too. It'll be curious to see who ends up having a better career. But I think part of it too, when we say he's overrated, I don't know. Maybe it's what I consume, and I don't consider myself to speak for everybody and what they consume. But Bedard's not being shoved down my throat like Crosby was, or even McDavid, you know? It's not, what did Bedard do every single night? It's not Bedard on every sports center. It's all the rest. So they're almost not treating him like a generational player. And I'm not sure if that's because the Blackhawks are that bad, or Chicago's kind of gone into, we're not talking about Chicago very much. I don't know what it is, but it feels like it's undercovered, if you can say that, compared to Crosby and McDavid.
I think we're watching separate broadcasts, because on the ones that I watch, they might as well have a Bedard cam, which is fine because I'm looking for him anyways. So I feel like he is getting crammed down.
We are watching separate broadcasts.
I'm serious. Everywhere I turn, I'm seeing Bedard's face. And again, it doesn't bother me because I'm a fan of his. And to be honest, my birthday present last month from Serena was a trip to Chicago. We're leaving in 10 days to watch 2 Blackhawks games and sit in the alumni suite. Thank you, Mike Lee and Joanne, at 2 Hawks games. So I couldn't be happier. She gets that. But I guess I'm not getting upset by those that are saying Bedard's overrated or whatever, nor where it's coming from, because that's their opinion. But people just can't seem to be satisfied with that. Now, rolling into point 2, hockey. Outdoors in Florida. Next season, the NHL is making it happen twice. The NHL announced Wednesday that the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers will play host to the New York Rangers at Lone Depot Park in Miami on January 2nd, 2026, and the Winter Classic, while the Tampa Bay Lightning will play host to the Boston Bruins at Raymond James Stadium February 1st, 2026, in a Stadium Series game. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman says, quote, Stanley Cups, strings of sellouts, and the exponential growth of youth and high school hockey throughout the state have demonstrated that Florida is a hockey hotbed. Unquote. So that's the poll question today for EMJ Marketing. This is where it's going to get hot. And if Serena's watching, Please have mercy on my soul. She's dead set against this. She thinks it's stupid. She said it many times, and she's not alone. That's what I want to point out. She's not alone. I actually looked at our Twitter. It's on Twitter. It's on YouTube. The question is, how do you feel about outdoor NHL games in Florida? Good idea? Bad idea? Darren, the last time I looked, 100% of respondents said it was a bad idea. And Kirk in Toronto wrote in here yesterday and said, outdoor games should be played where there's snow and ice. Fine, if that's how you feel. Gary Bettman doesn't agree. So we almost came to blows yesterday on the Cats and Bolts podcast, the show that Serena and I host. That's my partner on this Florida's favorite hockey show. She's dead set against this, and that's fine. A lot of people agree with her. I don't. You know that what I always do, I do my monologue, and then I hand it over to you, Darren. So I hope you're formulating an opinion here. And I don't want to spoil this because it's going to drop this afternoon, the podcast, but she brought up the NHL All-Star Game here, which I'm sorry was a joke. I'm wearing the gear from it. Do you remember that? They were shooting pucks at surfboards on the beach. They were golfing pucks out on the golf course. Like, what are you doing? And she brought that up and related that to this outdoor games in Florida, that it shouldn't work. It's dumb. Well, I'm confident in my own opinions, but I had Rich Sutter on the phone this morning. Richie and I were talking about this, and he agrees with me. He goes, it's going to be awesome. And I brought up the argument of, well, the All-Star Game, which he was here for that. He goes, that was a circus. This is a hockey game. Big difference. That's what I think. I'm all for it. And if you don't like it, don't watch, don't come. I told her, stay home, which I don't think she wants to stay home. I think she wants to go to the outdoor game. So I don't know if she's going to come and complain about it for 3 hours. Probably. I don't know. But I'm totally all in on outdoor games in Florida. How about you?
Well, I talked about road trips. I think when it came to talking about pressure, when you're by yourself versus having people in the car, you make a wrong turn and all the pressure. But when something doesn't work once, do you just quit? Like, okay, the All-Star Game didn't work. That'd be like taking off on a road trip. You're going to Chicago, you're going to drive, and you pull out of your driveway and you make a wrong turn 10 minutes down the road. You're like, well, made a wrong turn. I guess I'm going home. Not going. Trip's canceled. Like, you go back and you get back on the path and you try again. And that's what the NHL is doing with Florida. Like, you understand it's a good market. Maybe we just didn't execute the All-Star Game properly. Like, let's go back and let's try again and let's make this work. The question I have before I have the opinion is, when's the Winter Classic?
January 2nd next year.
Yeah. So that's my only thing, is pick a day. Why is it the 2nd? Why not the 1st? It was the 31st this past year. I like, when it comes to the Winter Classic, what was special about it, the tradition of it. And I don't love the bouncing around of days, trying to keep that straight. But now at least I hopefully will remember that it's on January 2nd, and I'll tune in this year, or that year. So
we have a saying in recovery, 12-step programs. Come to the meetings, take what you like, leave the rest. Okay? So, and I will equate it to this. The All-Star Game was a joke. And if you remember, on the Monday morning, we were on this show, and I was talking about it, and I said, I guarantee you, Gary Bettman is storming into the boardroom in the NHL offices downtown New York, Fifth Avenue, pounding the table going, what the hell was that? It was terrible. And the next year that they had it in Toronto, it was far more traditional. So you're right. This isn't that. And I think we can all agree on that. By the way, interestingly enough, that's the other thing. I mean, Serena complains a lot about the NHL as a league, and I don't. I love it. I'm that guy. I'm like those staunch CFL fans. I sit back and criticize things that the CFL does, and it really pisses the league off, and it pisses off those diehards because I see what they don't. But with the NHL, I don't see the warts. I don't want to. I love it. I've always loved it. It was the first league I've ever loved. Everything they do, I love. Serious. Here's the example. John Ohm writes in from Winnipeg, and he says, Bedard was on fire last night. I watched the game. Bedard playing in the 4-country tournament? Here's the thing. No, he's not playing for Canada at the Four Nations face-off. And to be honest, you tell me what you think about this. If the NHL was a heavy-handed league, which I don't think they are, I could see the NFL doing something like this, saying, we want Bedard on Team Canada because he's the next face of the league. the management of the actual team of Canada would have nothing to say to that. And it's an NHL-sponsored tournament, as you know, but they're not. So no, John Ohm, Connor Bedard is not playing for Canada in the Four Nations face-off, which I predicted he would not be just because he's the best team on Chicago. Who cares? He's the best player in Chicago. It's like being the tallest midget in the circus. Like, it's not a big deal. You know, there are 20 better players. So, no, he's not playing. But if I could just, clearly the NHL is letting them run their teams how they want, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they are. And to Bedard playing at the Four Nations, I would say, no, he's not playing for Canada yet. Like, there's still time. Injuries can happen. Roster changes can be made leading up to this based on injuries. And that'll be curious. Like, I wonder about all these teams. Is it realistic to think they'll all get through unscathed and there'll be no injuries between now and February? I don't know. Maybe we're getting closer and closer. So the chances of seeing roster changes are getting less and less. But maybe he's the first alternate if somebody gets hurt. But I don't want to wish somebody to get hurt. I don't want to even see that. And clearly the NHL, you're right, let them pick their teams and do it their way, and they're fine with it.
I'm going to tell you, it was even more marks in favor for the NHL for me on that they clearly didn't, we just talked about it, did not force them to have Bedard on the team, even though he is the face of the league down here. As you say, we're watching different channels because they're not cramming them down your throat in Canada, but they are here, and I'm here for it. Regarding Florida outdoor games in the NHL, Taylor in Calgary writes in, he says, get some fake snow and good to go. I think it's a good idea. Carlos in Indianapolis says, have fun in Chicago. Oh, I plan on it. I plan on it. We have a wonderful life. I'm not complaining. Like Dale Talon is the former general manager of both the Chicago Blackhawks and the Florida Panthers. And he's given us a list of restaurants to go to in Chicago. We see him at the Panthers games all the time in the press box. And I've never been. It's the last place on my bucket list I want to get to. And as my good friend Mike Lee said, I said to him, what do I do once I strike off everything on the bucket list? He says, make a new list. Sounds like fun. Hey, it may take weeks, months, or even years to get the call to be a stem cell donor. Saving lives takes commitment and dedication, just like being a hockey player. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register online at blood.ca. Get swabbed and spread the word against your family and friends. Speaking of the dedication of being a hockey player, I do want to talk about the 29 names being added to the Western Canadian Pro Scouting Foundation Wall of Honor this summer, of which my dad's one posthumously. A lot of great names going onto that Wall of Honor. We'll talk about that later on in the program. But just for the football fans, an NCAA football championship game berth will be on the line tonight here in South Florida when Notre Dame plays Penn State in the Orange Bowl. The Fighting Irish haven't won a national championship since 1988, while the Nittany Lions last claimed the Natty in 1986. So that's what it is tonight. Fighting Irish versus the Nittany Lions. Penn State, Notre Dame. Tomorrow night's game is a little bigger in terms of names, I think, Darren, for programs. Texas, Ohio State, and the Cotton Bowl. I'll be watching both, obviously. I don't really have a rooting interest for tonight at all. Notre Dame's favored by a point, though. What's your excitement level for tonight's Orange Bowl?
Yeah, it's starting to bubble up, but you know, Rash came on and talked about it. It's taken a long time. The playoffs have been dragged out now over a little while. I'd like to see it be a lot tighter, get to the action a little faster, because my excitement is kind of petering out a little bit. It's going to get back to where it needs to be, but you know, Notre Dame is my rooting interest. I've gone on record as saying this now a couple of times. I think Notre Dame, you know, college football is better when Notre Dame is relevant and good. Do I think they'll win? I don't know. You know, these are two good head coaches, two good programs. I think it's going to be fun tonight. But you're right. Tomorrow's probably the bigger game. Texas, Ohio State, bigger fan bases, bigger schools, all the rest. Although, you know, Notre Dame's pretty big, and so is Penn State now. So should be fun tonight. Go Irish.
There you go. We are 3 points through the quick six show topics. We do six. We're going to break and continue the discussion in a moment. The Boys of the Blades, Les Lazaruk coming up in hour two. We are on the Game Plus television network. Also streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour one of the RP show is for Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina sponsors the program. Check them out at culliganregina.com. I also noticed last night while looking for a photo of Connor Bedard that they sponsor the Chicago Blackhawks. So yeah, two great brands. The Blackhawks, us, three with Culligan Water. Okay, Moose, before we delve even further into the football, Jersey Jim wrote in, he tweeted at us and then deleted it. I guess he thought better. He's watching on Game Plus TV in New Jersey. Regarding the poll question, how do you feel about NHL outdoor games in Florida? 68% saying bad idea. Darshan in Vancouver watching, he says, outdoor games have jumped the shark. Like most things with the NHL, they have no clue how to market things and cultivate the audience. Matt Baker, Bakes Takes, the BC Lions PR man, he's responded.
Yeah.
And he says, Darsh, you're correct. But long ago, these became regional events. From Tampa Bay, Florida's perspective, it's two solid franchises with fan bases that have spanned generations. These will be well supported. People can hate Gary, but expanding a footprint in these markets has been solid. That's from Matt. So again, to be honest, if you can get people talking, that's the number one goal, is it not? And they've accomplished that, and I'm pretty sure these games will be sold out. So I'm a little surprised at the furor. I am.
Well,
are you?
I am now. Thank you, Matt Baker. He added a little perspective, and he's opened my mind to seeing it a new way. I'm a big believer in that, right? Like, I may know what's right, but it's important to see other perspectives and then either confirm I was right or maybe be open to something new. And I'm a little upset. I was like, come on, the Winter Classic tradition. Why isn't it on the first? All the rest. But you need to think now, Darren, it's not for you anymore, maybe. Like, it still can be. But as Matt said, becoming a regional event, and with all the outdoor games now, maybe it's not necessarily tailored for a national audience. It's more about the regions and growing the fan base within these regions. And you know what? I'm learning it doesn't have to be tailored to me, and it can be okay.
Oh, what a concept. It's not all about you individual. What, they didn't ask you? What?
I guess not.
Like,
I thought about writing the complaint letter to the league to say, guys, New Year's Day, stick with it. That's what works for my schedule. What an idiot.
It doesn't work for me. Oh, my God, if that isn't the statement of today's society. What I will tell you as a lifelong hockey fan, I've watched every outdoor game. I don't care when they are. I check the TV schedule, and then I watch. What an idiot. Chad in Lethbridge writes in and says the All-Star game is always a circus. It's for the fans and a skills competition where players are only going half speed. This is actually a game that points are awarded. I think taking it out of the normal environment is great. Can you imagine a game on Lake Louise? He goes, I think it shows how great the ice guys are in the NHL to make ice outdoors in Florida. Congrats on your dad's award, RP. Thank you, Chad in Lethbridge. And I should read every name because there are 29 names, and I apologize a little bit to the other 28 honorees. I made a big deal out of my dad because why wouldn't I? But just to back this up, the Western Canadian Pro Scouting Foundation every year does a Wall of Fame. I think this is the second year. So my dad made the second year of their induction class, and it's in Okotoks, Alberta, just outside Calgary. And I should call up the news release. It's at rodpedersen.com to tell you more about it, just the information. You can go to rodpedersen.com. It's there. It's funny because Ron in Calgary writes in from the 403, and he says, hey, Rod, when are you coming back to Cowtown? Well, I'll be there in next summer if I'm not there calling baseball in the WCBL. I guess the backstory behind this, it is the Rod Pedersen Show, so I guess I'm allowed to tell you. Ross Mahoney called me a month ago. He is the assistant general manager of the Washington Capitals. And he was the assistant coach of the U of R Cougars when my brother played there and set the all-time penalty minute record. I digress. That's how long I've known him. And he goes, hey, by the way, we're putting your dad on the Wall of Honor this summer. We'd like you to come out with the family, be there at the event. I think he asked me to speak. I can't really remember. He goes, don't tell anybody. We'll be making an announcement in a while. So I kind of just put it out of my mind, and then they made the announcement yesterday. So the one name that really stuck out to me is Larry Horning and Brad Horning. Larry was a legendary scout for the St. Louis Blues. And Brad scouted for Chicago, played for the Regina Pats. So, yeah. It's for us, it's all kind of a family affair, and it is really cool. And I'll tell you what, my dad did not scout for awards like this. He did not. He did it because he loved the job. But it's a pretty big deal. Blair in Calgary writes in, and he says, good morning, Rod. Regarding outdoor games in Florida, Good idea or bad idea, Gary Bettman has $ for eyeballs. I did not expect to spend the first 30 minutes fully on the NHL outdoor games, but I'm also okay with it. Like, I've seen the complaints that people are saying, why not put it in Canada? We need money, too. This is just a cash grab for the state of Florida. Blah, blah, blah. When did it become the NHL's responsibility to make money for Canada or the Canadian markets? Like, just, whoa. I feel like I need to switch topics, Darren, because this is like any political discussion or any of these stupid social media discussions that go spinning off into a direction that makes no sense whatsoever. Unless you agree with that. Would it be the NHL's responsibility to make money for Calgary or Toronto or Vancouver? It's their idea to make money for themselves, I think.
And for the league, right? And
yeah,
it's
what I mean.
important to make money for the league, and you're representing all ownership groups, all teams across the league. I get that. But, these markets up north that we do really well, trying to grow the game. Because when you grow the game and bring more people involved, no matter what market it is, it's a spill-off benefit. It's like people who don't like the stadium in Regina because they don't go to the games. They don't realize the economic benefit of having football games in a stadium that are going to go into restaurants and hotels and everything else. When markets like Florida do better, that will spill off into Canada eventually. It's just going to be indirect, and you won't be able to see it on a piece of paper. But you know what? We can't typically be happy for other people or see outside of our own backyard, which I get a little bit, but you're just never going to get it, and that's fine.
I'm trying to do this show. I came in a wonderful mood, and I don't want to let the people bring me down. Although as soon as I get off the air, it's going to be fun. Hey, you too?
Stay strong.
I'm going to the department, the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. I need to get my address changed on my driver's license. Because as you know, we move here in South Florida. Talking about the Orange Bowl tonight, by the way, Penn State, Notre Dame, 7:30 Eastern. Cardinal Ryan writes in from upstate New York and says, we are Penn State. Let's go, Nittany Lions. I'm so glad that we moved to just one guest per show because I've got a lot of things to get to here. I don't have to race to the end of this segment and then bring in somebody. It was the smartest thing I've done in a while. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, Roddy, do you think they should move the LA Rams versus Minnesota Vikings game to a neutral site like Arizona? Pause for a second. On the NFL vein, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens returned to the postseason with a lot of the same strengths they had a year ago. That's when they hosted Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. It couldn't overcome the Chiefs. This time, Baltimore will need 2 wins just to reach that round. As the number 3 seed in the conference, the Ravens face Pittsburgh on Saturday night, and it goes without saying that their star quarterback is under pressure to deliver. Jackson recently became the first quarterback in NFL history to pass for at least 4,000 yards and rush for at least 900 in one season. Now a different stat hangs over him, and it's his 2-4 record in the playoffs. If memory serves, they didn't have King Henry in the playoffs last year, Darren. That's what's different. Will it be enough to get to the Super Bowl for the Ravens?
It's going to be tough. They are a legitimate threat. I don't know about the unpredictability. They're a little unpredictable, which is tough. And they got to go through Buffalo, and the AFC is very, very tough. Buffalo, Kansas City. Like, it's a tough. And even Denver as a dark horse. I mean, they got to play the Bills in round 1, but it is going to be very, very tough. I think Baltimore, though, should be considered in that first group of contenders for the Super Bowl.
I would hope, for sure. So to John's question, should they move the game? I've just been listening and following the coverage like everybody else. You're asking me, should they move it? I don't know. I do know a close friend, Michelle, who I was with on Tuesday, she's still here. Fire affected her building where she lives. She's just not sure the extent. So it's like, you can sit and watch CNN. The coverage, I'm sure, is spectacular. But when you've got somebody affected, I can just ask Michelle, how bad is it? Right? I don't have an opinion on whether the Rams and Vikings and the NFL should move their game. As they say, the Kings and Flames moved the game last night. The NFL is monitoring the situation. From what I understand, Darren and I were in Inglewood, California a couple years ago at Super Bowl. That area where we were, SoFi Stadium, is nowhere near where the fires are. Does that mean that they are safe and the stadium is not going to burn down? Probably, but how does it affect the city? Would it be insensitive to play the game? To be honest, it doesn't affect me. So I don't have an opinion on that. What they're talking about is moving to Glendale, as he mentioned, and I don't know how many days they would need to do that. One thing is very evident, Darren, teams don't and leagues don't want to move games at all. That's why, I've broadcast so many games where we've had to sit out weather delays, lightning delays, all kinds of delays. They don't want to move it to another day. Hockey games where some idiot drilling the hole for the mooring for the net punctures a brine line. Now we're going to sit and wait 4 hours while we fix this. They don't want to move the games. And I wonder what the deadline would be. Florio this morning said he thought Saturday would be the latest they could wait.
There's a lot that goes into moving the game. Like, you got to think about getting the teams there. Fans and getting people in the building, you can do that very, very quickly. You'll sell enough tickets in Arizona to fill the stadium. And if you don't, they're okay with that. It's about getting the game played more than it is about making sure the building's full. But TV is a big part of it because broadcast is a huge, huge revenue maker. And for Sunday Night Football, or for the Sunday, I guess the afternoon game CBS does with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, they bring in the TV trucks on Wednesday and begin their setup with all their camera placements and running cables and all the rest. Wednesday for a game on Sunday. So they can make it happen in short order. There's lots of production companies that are there in Arizona, but it would be a lot of logistical things on that front to change. If Saturday's the day, I'm sure they can pull it off. They'll do whatever they think is best.
Shy in Saskatchewan writes in, he says, I mentioned Lamar Jackson's record setting 3 days ago. Yeah? Go start your own show then, if you're so great.
How about that?
Randy from Winnipeg on the Bedard thing. He says Mark Scheifele and Tom Wilson are at least 2 players ahead of Connor Bedard that should play for Team Canada. Bedard's time will come. It's not about that. And clearly the NHL agrees. All I'm saying is if they truly were pushing an agenda and that Connor Bedard's the next face of the league, they could have said, hey, Team Canada, Bedard's on your team. And they didn't. And I respect that. We'll be back in a moment with more. We're live on the Game Plus TV network, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, including my Weekend 10 Things column. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. The Moose is with us, and we tweaked the format a bit to give us a little more time to get through all of the topics and invite more audience participation, because as I've said to the audience, the viewers, we did a little market research before Christmas, and they say the number one thing about this show is the interaction with the audience. Not many shows do that. And regarding the Vikings-Rams NFL playoff game Monday night at SoFi Stadium in L.A., given the forest fires raging in the Southern California region, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says whether they choose to go ahead with the game in L.A. or not, there will be critics. Of course, that's why you need strong leaders, not people that waffle back and forth and can't make a decision. It's like that Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. They delayed it a day after the horrific crash on New Year's Eve, and even that was criticized. You're going to get critics either way, so you need a strong person to stand up and say, this is what we're doing. And again, I don't have an opinion because it doesn't affect me, and I'm hoping for the best. But all you got to do is open your phone and see, like, devastation. Churches on fire. Obviously, homes on fire. It's out of control. I know we talked about this yesterday, but it hasn't died down. Darren, what's your view of not only that NFL game situation? I think people don't understand, as much as it will cost a lot of money to move it, it is just a game. And I thought during COVID, sports people would realize that sports is not life and death. Unfortunately, they didn't realize that. That's what I learned. And they never will. So it is what it is. You?
I know. They'll do what they think is best, and they'll poll, people within the organizations around the league, the other owners, key people, stakeholders, etc., and make sure they're doing the right thing. If they have to move it, they'll move it. If they postpone it, I don't know if that's even on the table, they'll do that. But there's things right now, like the fires that are happening in the Hollywood Hills, like there's things that are more important than sports, but also at the same time, there's a whole league happening, and the game does need to be played at some point. But again, they'll make the right decision, and we'll know sooner than later.
Vintage Sasko writes in on the 902 text line. He says, "Hi, Uncle Rod," which I find so ironic because I think we're the same age. He says, "That's 2 days in a row you've mentioned the term midgets. Love it. Hope this short streak continues, but that may be a tall order." Signed, Vintage Sasko.
How about that?
Norm Fong writes in, the Hall of Fame equipment manager. Actually, Normie, I was thinking of you last night, and I'll tell you why in a second. Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Regina Pats, but also the Los Angeles Sharks. Normie says, "Congrats on your dad's induction to the Scouts Wall of Fame. I've met many of those Scouts when I worked for the Regina Pats." We've gotten into this. I'm going to read the news release here in a second about those Scouts going to the Wall of Fame, but did you ever watch Dexter?
A little bit. Only a little bit. Never got into it.
Okay. We are 2 or 3 episodes in. Serena's watched it once, and she's been gracious enough to watch it with me again. And the other day, although it's supposed to be based in Miami, it was actually filmed in L.A. And so there was a scene, and it's disturbing, but whatever. Let's just say there were body parts stuffed in the net of a hockey rink. Okay? On the ice. There were body parts. The dismembered body was stuffed in a bag and put in the net, of all things. And they said it was the Miami Blades hockey team. And they had ads on the boards and at the rink. "Welcome to the home of the Miami Blades." I'm like, where is that rink? Is that the old Miami Arena I keep hearing about that they knocked down, the initial rink of the Panthers? So I looked it up. And that scene was shot in the Los Angeles Memorial Arena, which is in downtown L.A. So I'm going to ask you, Normie. I was thinking of you because he was the equipment manager of the old Los Angeles Sharks of the WHA. Looked like a hell of a barn. To be honest, it looked like Portland's old Glass Palace, the home of the Trailblazers and the Winterhawks from days gone by. But anyways, do you remember that one episode? Because it was only season 1.
No.
Episode 2 or 3, like really early on. Okay.
I don't. It was a while ago, but
yeah.
But it is interesting, you know, and I noticed that on shows where they're filmed in different places, like Suits, for example, filmed in Toronto. And now that I watched it back a second time, hey, that's BMO. Hey, that's downtown. I know all the places now, and I never did before.
Yeah, well, any scene with Eric Roberts in Suits, Julia Roberts' older brother, look over his shoulder. Skydome is in the background of a lot of those shots. I'm sure you noticed. But it's really cool here in Miami because that Miami arena comes up all the time. And I was sitting with Jeff Rimmer the other night, the original voice of the Panthers. Everybody knows Jeff Rimmer, his brother Ron Rimmer, legendary sportscasting family. And I said, where was that old Miami arena? He goes, it's just a couple blocks from where the Heat play now. It's the one that had the Rats.
Wow.
Scott Mellenby, Doug McLean. Really cool history, man. There's so many more hockey fans here than you would think, or even that I thought. And I think that's why they like me, is because I love hockey. I talked about that yesterday. Our podcast, Cats and Bolts, is hockey number 1. And not surprisingly, the hockey fans love that. So here's the news release. Placeline, Okotoks, Alberta. The Western Canada Professional Hockey Scouts Foundation will add 29 names to its Wall of Honor when it holds its second induction dinner this summer. The foundation announced that the 2025 class will include 3 pioneers of scouting, 7 from the early era, that's my dad's class, 17 from the modern era, and 2 from the major junior ranks. And here are the names. Let's honor them. The 3 pioneers to be inducted this summer spent more than 70 years in the scouting business: Dennis Ball, Jeep George, and Jimmy Walker, all deceased. I heard of all those guys, Darren. I didn't know any of them. The early era inductees featured Dennis McIver, Tom McVie, Doug Overton Sr., along with the late Larry Horning, Jim Pedersen, Larry Popine, and George Wood. The modern era scouts to be inducted are Darwin Bennett, Jim Benning, Shane Churla, the late Glenn Cochran, Milt Fisher, Ernie Gare Jr., Aaron Janelle, Brian Gross, Dennis Holland, the late Brad Horning, Tim Leonardon, Stu McGregor, Ray Payne, Brad Robson, Casillas, Marty Stein, and Al Tour. House. The major junior scouts to be honored in 2025 are Keith Wilson and the late Al McPherson. So I worked with Keith Wilson with the PA Raiders. He was our guy. He was great. Al McPherson with the Wheat Kings. This guy's put on a lot of miles, man. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Pretty cool.
That's very, very cool. And it's got to mean a lot to you and your family. So congratulations. And I never got to know your dad, and that's one thing I wish I would have gotten the chance to do. But pretty big honor to be included in that group.
The dinner, does it say the date of the dinner? Anyways, the gentleman, Ron in Calgary, asked when I'm going to be in Calgary, and I don't think it says here where the dinner is, but I plan to be there whenever it is. I think it's second or third week of July in Okotoks, and I think they have it in the hockey arena. I'm a one-day-at-a-time guy. We'll worry about that when the snow melts up there.
Yeah.
Moose, we got a break. I'll see you back here in hour 2.
See you then.
We are live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live, and, of course, podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Is that birthday boy or girl obsessed with hockey? Then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes, the #1 destination in Southern Alberta for hockey fans that have birthdays. Also office parties, team bonding sessions, you name it. Fully endorsed by the RP Show. Check them out at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. That's Overtime Hockey Lanes. Tell them the RP Show sent you. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of great reasons to get out of bed every day. You never know what's going to hit you. And I just can't believe the furor over the outdoor games announced by the National Hockey League for Florida. I'll tell you, I'm all for it. I plan to be there. I think it's going to be great. Somebody in my house feels 180 degrees opposite. Just doesn't feel that hockey should be played in Florida outdoors. So the poll question today for EMJ Marketing is shocking a little to me. She's not alone. The poll question is, how do you feel about NHL outdoor games in Florida? 63% of you say bad idea. 37% of you are like me and say good idea and are excited for it. But I guess, I don't know, people have nothing better to do. Whatever. A busy night tonight on the ice with 10 games in the National Hockey League. The Toronto Maple Leafs visit the Carolina Hurricanes, chasing a 6th straight victory. The Oilers look for a 5th consecutive win when they take on Pittsburgh, visit Pittsburgh, and Ottawa hosts Buffalo. An NCAA football championship game berth will be on the line tonight here in South Florida when Notre Dame plays Penn State in the Orange Bowl. The Fighting Irish haven't won a national championship since '88. The Nittany Lions last claimed the title in '86. 7:30 kickoff tonight from Hard Rock Stadium, the home of the Dolphins. Our good friend AJ Jakubic will be there, the voice of the Ottawa Red Blacks. Asked me to go. I'm busy. Can't be everywhere. And actually far more interested about tomorrow night's game, which I'm going to carry over into the discussion next hour with Moose. The Texas Longhorns face OSU, Ohio State University, in the Cotton Bowl Classic. That's the other semifinal. They moved it from the actual Cotton Bowl Stadium to AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys, in 2010. It's in my commentary today. I said, if you're looking for a rooting interest in any of these games, you could choose the Texas Longhorns. They're coached by former Saskatchewan Roughriders quarterback Steve Sarkisian. But as I mentioned that in my morning commentary today, somebody wrote in and said, hopefully he doesn't quit on the team on the flight home. I feel like we need to tell that story coming back next hour. But what I'm realizing, my spirit's been broken in that, A, people don't all hear the story. You don't hit 100% of the people if you told the real story. And 2, even those that hear it don't really want to hear it. They're going to remember it how they want to remember that story with Steve Sarkisian of the 1997 Saskatchewan Roughriders and the fallout over a flight. We'll talk about that next hour. The coach of the Longhorns, when you're watching tomorrow night, you'll hear this story. Good friend of mine. No rest for the Toronto Raptors. They're in Cleveland to face a Cavaliers team on an 11-game win streak. Toronto coming off last night's 112-98 road loss in New York and has dropped 14 of 15 games overall. Sports Update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic the Hedgehog returns to the big screen in his most thrilling adventure yet. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary, Shadow. Starring Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, and Jim Carrey, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is in Landmark Cinemas now. Smoke him if you got him. Hour 2 coming up after this short pause here on Game Plus and the streams.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bane Norrie.
How about that?
Bane says, "I'd ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bane."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
Like,
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'll never forget it. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was at the Rosencrown. Let's bring the Moose in. Bill Manchuk was with us. And Carm Terry. Those old-time stories. Oh, I got a few that I'm going to let fly here in hour 2 of the show. Big games tonight of the National Hockey League. There are 10, including the Leafs at Carolina. We have our NHL Breakaway Bet segment coming up in this segment because Les Lazaruk will be with us in the next. The Orange Bowl goes tonight, Notre Dame versus Penn State. How you feeling about the Leafs at the Hurricanes tonight, Moose?
ooh, that's going to be a dandy. And it's really going to split my viewing pleasure between that and the Orange Bowl. So it should be fun tonight.
You very definitely didn't pick a winner, but I'm not going to let you off the hook before the end of this segment. You know you're going to have to. Well, you always pick the Leafs. Sorry, it's not really breaking news. We need to. Here's the thing. I'm not that interested in the Orange Bowl, but I will tell you a story. Everybody's interesting. Everybody has a story, as we say. Everybody has a story. Sometimes you need to dig deeper to find it. But last year, we were in a little town outside New Orleans, Siddall, Louisiana. Serena and I were having lunch with Ron Estee and his beautiful wife, Debbie, and her brother. I believe his name was Scott. Ron Estee was the D-line coach for the Rough Riders when I was with them, and he won multiple Grey Cups with the Edmonton Eskimos. And as she told us, she's like, Ron played in the original Orange Bowl. And her brother, Scott, he was at the table. We were having deep fried catfish. It was amazing. He goes, it was so cold, I'll never forget. They were throwing oranges on the field, and they were like baseballs. They were frozen. I'm like, I could actually believe that because it's gotten very close down to freezing here this week in Florida. But the Swamp Dog, Ron Estee, played in the original Orange Bowl. I want to say it was like 1972-ish. And it was a great day. It was a great day, and it was a great lunch. But speaking of those old football stories, I want your take on this. I'm actually surprised. You said you remember Steve Sarkisian, the Longhorns coach, playing for the Rough Riders. What do you remember of him playing for the Rough Riders?
And I don't know if how good my memory is, if it's correct. I think he was number 12 as the backup quarterback. At least that's what I see. And I just remember Sarkisian and all the stuff that came with it. And I'm like, man, I just want him to play. I want him to be the quarterback. And we all love the backup quarterback, but he seemed like he was cool. It seemed like there was all this untapped potential. I wanted to see Sark get a better opportunity to be the quarterback, and then all of a sudden he was gone, and we never heard from him again.
Well, and interestingly enough, his time in Saskatchewan was bad, and I saw Farhan Lalji from TSN Vancouver saying in a podcast recently, saw a clip of it, he was like, yeah, Sark doesn't talk very lovingly about Saskatchewan or glowingly about Saskatchewan, and most people do. That's true. Like with the Rough Riders. But what happened was, he was the quarterback, the backup quarterback, 97, 98, 99. And the 97 Grey Cup, I didn't come in to be the voice of the team till 99, but I was hosting the postgame show on the radio, 97, 98, believe it or not. I did do that job. And in 97, his wife came up. They were, he played at BYU. Where they're from, I can't remember, but he wanted his wife on the team charter to Edmonton for the Grey Cup, and the team wouldn't take her. And she was a visitor from out of town. She didn't know anybody. And they were like, doesn't surprise me. I don't know how you'd fall on this, but the team was, if your wife wants to go to Edmonton, she can buy a plane ticket and fly like everybody else. She's not coming on the team plane. And Steve came from BYU, pretty big deal, and it pissed him off. And I can't totally remember. It was almost 30 years ago, guy, But he did come back in 98 and 99, and when he finally got his start, it was because our regular number one quarterback, Reggie Slack, the Auburn great, had a penchant for not showing up for games. He just forgot to show up. That's a fact. I was there. So Sark started in Hamilton for us against the Ticats, Danny McManus and the Tiger Cats, and it was like the biggest beating the Rough Riders ever absorbed, 62-7, and I called it. We were awful on the way to a 3-15 team, but I mean, that's how the team felt, and he was upset. I don't know who's right or wrong in this scenario, but he never really got over it, and he took off after that 99 season. He never came back, and when Danny Barrett took over as head coach, Dan Farthing called him, our Hall of Fame receiver, star slotback, and said, hey, you got to get up here, man. You would love the offense that Danny Barrett's running. And Sark's like, I'm never setting foot in that place again. Goodbye. Don't ever call me. And that's Sark. So anyways, how do you feel about that story?
That's awesome. Really awesome. And now that he's, coaching Texas, in the Final Four in the Cotton Bowl and maybe towards a national championship, and they're talking about his name for NFL head coaching openings and that he's getting some attention. We'd love him to have fond memories of the CFL and Saskatchewan. But you know what? It is what it is. We can't change the past.
It is what it is. He coached at USC, had a very public incident involving alcohol with Sark, and entered a rehab facility, never drank again, but he doesn't want to talk about recovery. I've asked him to do an interview on it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to remember it. I want to look forward, not back. I'm like, that's cool. You seem to be doing just fine. And he's coaching the Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl Friday night, maybe on to a national championship. Ryan, watching in Saskatoon, says, I remember Steve as number 12 was a fan favorite because he was a backup. Oh, exactly. They always hate the starter. Rich in Edmonton says, breaking news, Rod. A.J. Jakovic still waiting for ticket prices to go down for the Orange Bowl. It's a dangerous game to play, to just fly to the city and hope that the prices go down. Arash actually predicted that yesterday. He's like, you can wait and get in on game day for $50. Well, that's easy for me. I live here. It's not that easy for somebody flying from Ottawa to South Florida. You might end up taking it where you don't want to take it financially, just to go to a game. I don't even know who he's a fan of. If it's Notre Dame or Penn State, I'm not sure. Regarding the outdoor NHL games announcement yesterday, January 2nd, the Panthers will be taking on the New York Rangers at Lone Depot Park, the home of the Marlins. And then in February, a month later, the Lightning are going to take on the Boston Bruins. I can't believe the furor it's caused, which is actually a good thing. People don't understand that. Somewhere along the line, some leagues forgot that all buzz is good buzz, even if you think it's bad buzz. Just to have them talking about you is a good thing. But that's the poll question today. How do you feel about NHL outdoor games in Florida? Good idea or bad idea? And last I saw, 68% saying it's a bad idea. Ryan in Saskatoon writes in, he says, a nice Christmas break. Go to Florida for the outdoor game and get out of the snow in Saskatchewan. Yeah, come on down. I know there are fans of the Panthers. I found that out in Canada. I found that out as my travels this summer. When I was doing baseball, a lot of people showed up and wanted to tell me about how much they love the Florida Panthers or the Tampa Bay Lightning for that matter. Darren, I was having, as you know, a buffet on Sunday at the Palm Beach Kennel Club, and I don't know where this happened. I'm not asking you for the answer, not for the correct answer, but I'm asking for your take. My friend Ash, we're talking about where the CFL and the NHL, where they just took different roads. Like my Edmonton friends, I heard Mark Spector saying this on the radio one day from Sportsnet. He goes, as a kid, the Eskimos and the Oilers were neck and neck for popularity. And now, they ain't even in the same universe. I don't know how that happened. Wouldn't that be an interesting marketing book, though? Nobody seems to want to talk about it.
I know, and it would. And everybody will have a different opinion on where they went wrong and what they should have done, and here's what the league should do. And we all have a bunch of different opinions, but it would be a fascinating study to just go through and just examine a lot of the different ways that these leagues have grown and other leagues haven't.
CFL had that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I think a big shift
ahead.
has been the digital world. You know, we look at the late 90s into the 2000s, and, you know, when we started getting the internet in more homes, and then we started getting more access to cell phones and then smartphones, and video game consoles became more important, right, and more prevalent. And I remember when I was growing up, even a video game console, like my best friend Mark had a video game console. We'd all go to his house. We didn't have one, too expensive, you know, so we'd go to his place. Now everybody's got one. They're a little easier to get, and phones and all the rest. And what some of the leagues have done, they're on all these platforms. And largely the CFL, unfortunately, isn't. It's expensive and it's hard to be a part of it, but they're not on video game consoles, really. They're not with a huge presence on smartphones and social side and with an app and stats. And so they haven't expanded into these new areas like other leagues have.
It's 1:11 Eastern. I'm just pointing that out because we do it every day.
Beautiful. Hoorah!
Kirk in Toronto writes in and he says, hi, Rod, do you still drink that non-alcoholic beer? I don't see it on your show anymore. I drink it when they're sponsoring us. Let's put it that way. And they are currently not. And we will name them when they sponsor us again. No free rides.
No money, no
Nobody's
funny.
giving me a free. No money, no funny. Nobody's giving me a free ticket to the Orange Bowl. No free rides. So I drink it when we're sponsoring it. But let me guess. It's January 9th, and you're looking for a non-alcoholic beer, let me guess, was that your New Year's resolution to not drink? Keep going, Kirk, if it is. Norm Fong writes in regarding the Dexter episode where they cut up a body and stuffed it in the net of the hockey rink, the home of the Miami Blades, but filmed in Los Angeles. Norm writes in, he says, Rod, the LA Sports Arena was a great rink that was also home to the Ice Capades. It was recently torn down. It was right across the street from the LA Memorial Coliseum football stadium. Well, then I know exactly where it was. You weren't with me on that trip to Los Angeles, were you, when our tour bus got lost?
I was not.
I could have killed that driver. I could have killed that guy. I had 60 people that I was hosting a sports trip. They weren't particularly agile. You know what I'm saying? You've seen the people that come on my trips. And the bussy, which they hate being called bussy, by the way, but I don't care. He didn't know where the parking lot was. I'm like, how do you drive a tour bus in Los Angeles and not know where the tour bus parking lot is? At Memorial Coliseum, it's only been here 100 years. Speaking of 100 years, by the way, the Esteban Mercury closing its doors today. 122 years of the news source of the Southeast, Esteban Mercury, shutting down. Take a moment and observe. That sucks. Okay, NHL breakaway bets. Thanks for reminding me, Moose. 10 games tonight in the National Hockey League. Moose is leading 19-17 in the picks. I'm closing the gap. I hope you've noticed. Really got to think about this. Seattle at Columbus tonight. Who do you got to win?
Blue Jack.
Yeah, me too. Oilers at Pittsburgh. Let's rotate who goes first. That'll make it more fair. I got the Oilers to win. You?
So do I. Yeah.
Buffalo at Ottawa. You go first.
Ooh. Ottawa.
Sabres for me, dog. A voice is screaming in my ear. Sabres, Sabres, Sabres. New Jersey Devils at New York Rangers. I go first. New Jersey.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta be with you on that. This is not very interesting.
Boston at Tampa. Well, thanks. Thank God you're not in charge of marketing the show. Boston at Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
Yeah, I got it. Bruins are sucking, and Tampa's at home where they rarely lose. I got the Lightning as well. Dallas Stars at Philadelphia.
It's you.
My turn, right? Stars for me.
I'll take Philly.
Okay. Toronto Maple Leafs at Carolina. You always take the Leafs. I'll put you down for that. And I'll take the Canes. No issues there. Anaheim Ducks at the St. Louis Blues. I guess that's my turn again. Anaheim's on a bit of a heater, I feel like. I'm going to take the Duck.
Okay. I'll take the Blues.
Okay. Colorado at Minnesota.
Ooh, this is a tough game. The Avalanche got kind of spanked a little bit last night by Chicago, but I'll take the Avs to bounce back.
Okay, Minnesota for me. And then finally the Islanders at Vegas. I don't think it matters. A definite. Vegas is the number one team in the NHL. So it's the Golden Knights for me. How about you too?
Yeah. You bet.
Well, we wound that up real easily. By the way, NBA tonight, Toronto at Cleveland. Miami Heat at the Utah Jazz. Moose, you have yourself a great Toronto afternoon and enjoy the game tonight.
All right. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
My brother from another mother's coming in next, the Elton John of hockey broadcasting. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Folks, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. We mentioned the 10 NHL games tonight. The Winnipeg Jets are not playing. We're going to open there as we chat with Les Lazaruk, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades, former color voice of the Winnipeg Jets, who are, hey, Lester, Happy New Year, my dog. How you doing?
Same to you, RP. Happy New Year. I hope the holidays were good to you.
Oh, yeah, they were amazing. And by the way, congratulations on all the fun, exciting news in your world, which we'll get to in a second. But the Jets, number 2 overall in the National Hockey League, but right on the heels of the Vegas Golden Knights. How do you feel about the pursuit of Vegas, trying to catch Vegas and be number 1? And does it matter at this time of year right now?
No, it doesn't matter right now, although it's nice to see them there. Hopefully they can string more wins together and have higher highs and lower lows, because that ultimately is going to be the key as to whether or not they can finish first in the Western Conference and finish first in the Central Division. Getting to one of those spots, I think, is premium, obviously. I would have said back at the beginning of the season that having to finish first in the conference is paramount, but not necessarily so now. I mean, they've lost a few games at Canada Life Centre, and the NHL is such where home ice ultimately really doesn't matter as much as it does, say, in the NBA or even as it does possibly in the NFL. So I would say as long as the Jets can be one of the top 2 seeds going into the playoffs, I would say they're in good shape.
Last year when they flamed out in 5 to Colorado, you came on here and said something's missing, and a lot of people would agree. Would you agree that doesn't look like anything's missing now?
No, it doesn't seem to be. It looks like there's been a recommitment to by some of the star players to really wanting to go after it. I mean, the coaching change, Rick Bowness, having to step down, wanting to step down because of health issues, and yet I see him on Hockey Night in Canada every once in a while. So he's obviously doing okay, but. Scott Arniel has taken over, and it's been seamless because this is a case of an assistant coach, very popular in the room, taking over, and the guys having a lot of respect for him and buying into what he's selling as far as what he wants out of his team systems-wise and how he wants them to play and what kind of effort they play with. And guys like Scheifele and Connor especially taking it on and being good that way. Josh Morrissey, you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get from Adam Lowry, and the rest of those guys fall into line behind them. The two key guys are Scheifele and Connor, and they have gone ahead and really stepped up this year and are having all-star caliber type seasons. And it's still a shame that Scheifele can't play for Team Canada at the upcoming Four Nations Challenge.
Well, he can. He just wasn't picked to be.
Wait.
Is that something?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that something you think will motivate him?
Absolutely, I think it will. I think it's been doing it to a large degree in the last little while. So, okay, if he's going to be spurned, being a chance to play for Team Canada, and it's going to motivate him, bring it on. Let's go.
You know, it's funny, by the way. Connor Bedard's not on that team either, and if you and I had a sports talk show, man, it would slap, it would bang, Les. You know that. So Bedard's not on it either. But I watched the game last night. Bedsy had a goal and an assist. Colorado lost in Chicago 3-1. It was a big Blackhawks upset. Moose DuPont, who I know that you're a big fan of, was saying that Bedard's not getting crammed down Canadian hockey fans' throats. I said he is here in the States, but I'm okay with it because I love him. What's your take on Bedard's career and the fact that he's not on the Team Canada for the Four Nations face-off along with Scheifele? What are your thoughts on Bedard?
Okay, on Bedard, I think maybe not being on the Four Nations Challenge roster for Team Canada this year is a good thing. I think it will motivate him to pick up his game. He was a tremendous rookie. Everybody goes through a little bit of a lull in their sophomore year, and he definitely went through it at the beginning of the season. Because of that, he didn't make Team Canada, according to the higher-ups with Hockey Canada and the people that are putting the team together. That should motivate him. And if he had a goal and an assist last night in a Blackhawks upset win over Colorado, that's pretty significant. If he's starting to round back into form, good for him. He should be a guy that should be looked at to be a part of the Canadian team for the Olympics coming up in 2026, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm with you. He probably will be on that team. That's 2 years away, so depending on how things go. 1 year away. Yeah, 1 year away.
It's next year, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, Game 7, Pats Blades 2 years ago. How worried were you that morning? How worried were you?
Again, it's one of those 50-50 things. I'm going to wake up the next morning and I'm still going to have to go to work at the Saskatoon Media Group. And that's ultimately my main source of employment. My check comes from the Saskatoon Media Group. So Blades win, Blades lose. Yeah, personally, emotionally, there's going to be a disappointment. But ultimately, I got to pick myself back up and go back to work and do something like have to worry about what the heck Justin Trudeau's doing a newscast the next day on the radio station. So it's not going to devastate me. It wasn't going to devastate me. I'm thrilled that the Blades found a way to beat the Pats that game and move on. But it ultimately isn't life and death for me, as it is for some team broadcasters who are employed by the team because they really are invested to the largest degree. Myself, I'm invested a lot, but not to the point of what those guys are that work for the teams.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Les Lazaruk is not a homer. He just told you himself. How many games have you called? Les is the voice of the Saskatoon Blades. How many have you called, Les?
Oh, it's over 2,200.
Wow. Do you have And Ryan writes in, you know him, Ryan Marushak writes in, he's watching in Saskatoon. He says, Roddy, you will need a Les Lazaruk bobblehead to showcase when they're out at the end of the month. Do you have a Les Lazaruk bobblehead in your possession that you can show us?
I have one at home. I don't have it with me because I'm in a hotel room in Edmonton. I don't carry it around with me. I'm not that vain. Not yet, anyway. But it is at home. It's in the possession of my wife. My wife is looking after it.
Okay, Verna, don't lose that thing. Clark, if you, before the end of the show, what? No, what? Did we lose Les? You still there? Clark, before the end of the show, if you can find a photo online, because I've seen them. I've seen the bobbleheads. Tyler Warwick, your president of business, posted that and congratulating you on your 31st season with the team. Are you happy with the likeness of the bobblehead, Les? Because most guys are not.
I do actually like it. I think it's great. My wife thinks it's great. Verna thinks it's wonderful. My sisters, who were pretty critical, said it was cute. I've never thought of myself as cute, really. But if my sister thinks it's cute, I'm good with that.
All right, Blades fans, the Les Lazaruk bobblehead coming out at the end of the month. That's very exciting. We'll get a picture of it before we go off the air. Okay, the viewers we can't forget our junior hockey roots, our Western Hockey League love. Can you talk about the WHL trade deadline and the Blades part of that and moving forward?
Okay, the Blades part of it was, and again, a lot of people who are casual or outsiders can't believe what has been done by Colin Priestner, Steve Hildebrand, and Dan Tenser, the holy trinity of the Blades operations, as I like to call them. They've definitely made a big-time move. Goodness, my chair just drops here in the hotel room. They came into this, I mean, they went in on pretty much every big name player over the last 6 or 7 seasons trying to get the championship. They really went all in last year with the Fraser Minton acquisition and Easton Armstrong and people like that. They really went hard at it. And they spent a lot of draft picks. That's the new world of the Western Hockey League. Ever since Manny Viveros traded everything as far as 15 and 16-year-old prospects to get the people he needed to win the WHL title in 2018. And then the league decided, you know what, we don't want our 15 and 16-year-olds traded, so let's keep them, and you can't trade anybody else, and you have to get 17s to agree to be traded, and then 18 through 25. And you want to trade draft picks, you go right ahead. The Blades traded draft picks in order to get the players necessary to take their run. They didn't quite get there. They lost out in the Eastern Conference Final the last 2 years. Now they come into this season, they look at their draft cupboard and they're going, whoa, 2025, as before the Christmas break it came into play. No pick until the 4th round. 2026, no pick until the 8th round. You can't sustain yourself. You can't be competitive by not having draft picks in the future. I mean, I lived through what happened after the Memorial Cup when they went all in back then to try and be a Memorial Cup champion while hosting it. 5 straight years of non-playoff hockey. It seems like a drop in the bucket now, but back at the time when you go through it day after day after day and you don't have a hope of making it into the playoffs, how do you keep your fan base engaged? How do you keep your players even engaged? So Colin Priestner realized that. And the 3 guys said, we're going to get our guys back. We're going to get our draft picks back. We're going to get some young prospects back as well. And they had to trade away Brandon Lisowski, a 42-goal guy last year who was on a heater coming into the Christmas break. They had to trade away Tanner Molendyk, the first-round pick of the Nashville Predators, who played for Team Canada at the World Juniors and is having a tremendous season and is arguably the best defenseman in the Western Hockey League. So they went ahead and they did that. They also traded Misha Volotovsky and Lucas Hansen, a couple of, complementary type 19-year-old players. Those were big deals. They had to do those sorts. And then they traded Ben Reich, their leading scorer. They got him basically for nothing from Victoria back in the offseason. Sorry, Vaughn Waterroot, but you're not playing even in the Western Hockey League right now as a 20-year-old. So Waterroot's not playing in the league. Blades got Reich. He had 53 points. and was, incredibly consistent. He only missed out on getting points in a game in 3 out of 38. So they traded him, and they got back 2 first-round draft picks in total, 3 second-round draft picks, a third, a fourth, a fifth in 2026. They pretty much restocked the cupboard. They feel good. They've got some young guys back. They're happy to get a Hunter Lang, a 6'6" behemoth of a guy from Prince George. They're happy to get Jack Ketchkowski, Hayden Harsani from Medicine Hat. Harsani, a 17-year-old center, was in on both of their goals last night in Edmonton. So they've got young guys. They've got prospects for the future. They're not going to suffer, the long drought of not being in the playoffs by making the deals they did. And casual fans and outsiders have to understand that.
Well, you've just certainly told the message of the Saskatoon. I needed to pause because we're running out of time.
Yes.
A forensic look at what the Blades have done. No, you're good. You're passionate, which is why we love you. But the rest of the way, because the Blades won't be part of this, who do you see as, say, the Final Four?
Ooh, in the whole league?
Yeah.
If it's the whole league, I think you have to look at Everett. I think you have to look at Prince George. I think you have to look at, there's 3 teams in the Central Division. Lethbridge, Calgary, and Medicine Hat. I think Calgary is going to be there. I have a hard time picking between Lethbridge and Medicine Hat because people on both those franchises I love, and I think I have mad respect for a guy like Willie Desjardins in Medicine Hat, and I have mad respect for guys like Bill Peters and Peter Anholt in Lethbridge. So I would say those are the top 5 teams, the 3 in the Central Division, and then you've got the Everett team in Prince George out west.
All right, good stuff. And hey, lastly, there it is.
Yeah.
Les Lazaruk bobblehead. So that's amazing, Les. Do you feel that it looks like you? It's kind of is pretty amazing likeness.
It is. Yeah, it's a good likeness. Yeah, it just shows how ugly I am.
Hey, hopefully, maybe they'll hand a few out at a Saskatoon Berries game as well. Does your mind wander to the WCBL at all? Mine does, be honest, does yours?
Yes, absolutely, because it's again, truth be told, and I love my hockey, don't get me wrong, but I was a much better right-handed baseball pitcher back in my youth than I was a hockey goaltender. So I really, really, really enjoy baseball. I've done baseball before, back in Winnipeg with the return of the Winnipeg Goldeyes, back in '94 with my good friend Peter Young, and then getting a chance to do it this past summer was just a hoot, and I'm looking forward to year 2 coming up. It's not that far away. May really isn't that far away.
I know. I had so much fun as well, man. It's a great league, great people.
It is.
Just fun being at the ballpark. And, you got your Carter back again. Carter Beck back for next year. Not like he wasn't going to come back, but I loved the pomp and circumstance of the announcement. So everything's good. Les, thanks for the time, and keep on keeping on, my man.
Any old time, RP, you keep on keeping on. You're doing a heck of a job, and I love tuning in wherever I can.
Thank you, Lester. Appreciate you. Any old time. That's a good old George Strait song. But, yeah, I call Les the Elton John of hockey broadcasters. And when I do that, he always goes, but I'm serious, man. Every time I tune in, Les's game, he said he's done 2,200 plus games. And every time I tune in, it's like it's first. Like it's his first. And because he's so excited about it. And it's like when I saw Elton John play Crocodile Rock at the Brandt Center in Regina, probably played it 970,000 times. He stands up on the stool like it's the first time. I love it. He's an entertainer, both Elton and Les. We'll be right back with a sports update after this and viewer takeover the rest of the way. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live, and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We have a lot of fun things to get to between now and the top of the hour, but I will tell you that we're brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake, they've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off at checkout. Check them out at seatgiant.ca. Some of those fun things include viewer mail. You know, we do have the live streaming comments regarding my good friend Les Lazaruk there. Mike is watching from Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg. He says, legendary Les. He is a legend. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, Les has passion. Love it. I think that's why we get along so well. We've known each other since 1994 when he took over as voice of the Saskatoon Blades. At that time, I was the voice of the Prince Albert Raiders, and we've been friends ever since. It's been now over 30 years. We've both been through hard times in our life, and we've relied on each other a lot. That's away from the broadcasting facility, but we also, from the hockey rink, but we also, our teams played each other in the playoffs. A legendary 7-game series back in 2000. Brad McCrimmon, Saskatoon Blades against our Tim Tisdale and the Regina Pats. Went to Game 7. Barns were full both places, but Les and I never got upset at each other. Some broadcasters I hated. Not Les. I love Les. And I tell him that. BW writes in from Edmonton. He says, I was wondering where Dan Tenser ended up after leaving Edmonton Radio. Thanks. Yeah, he's the head scout for the Blades. I'm going to be honest. A lot of people scoffed and said, why are you hiring a radio guy to be your head scout? He's done a great job. If people are criticizing the Saskatoon Blades for anything they've done the last 4, 5, 6 years, you need to pipe down because they've done a tremendous job. And selling off is probably the right thing, too. To the mailbag. We have one. Lorena writes in, and she says, I look forward to reading your column on Sunday mornings in chilly Regina. But hey, it's a dry cold. Have a great day. Signed, Lorena. That's the 10 things column that I do every week. You have to now subscribe to our newsletter to do it. Go to rodpeterson.com right now. Sign up for free. That's all we ask you. Charge you for this thing. But if you haven't figured out yet, times are changing. I'll always be the Saskatchewan guy. There's no two ways about that. But I just saw this morning, guy putting on Twitter, an employee from the Estevan Mercury newspaper, that they're closing their doors. 122 years informing the Southeast. Estevan Mercury, no more. Times are changing, baby. Sign up for the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. rodpeterson.com today for free. Sports update. The Los Angeles Dodgers acquired minor league pitcher Jose Vasquez from the Minnesota Twins today for catcher Diego Cartaya. That's your MLB news. Meanwhile, the NBA and NFL are monitoring several massive wildfires burning across the greater Los Angeles area and the potential impact it could have on games this week in Southern California. 3 major fires were burning in areas of the vast Los Angeles metroplex following 2 days of extraordinary winds. At least 70,000 people are under evacuation orders and more than 1,000 structures have been destroyed. It's beyond. And I'll say it again for the benefit of those that weren't watching earlier. On Tuesday, as soon as I got off the air, beetled down to South Beach. Yeah, that place, the one you see in all the movies. To meet my friend Michelle. She works at a treatment center, rehab facility in Los Angeles, Malibu and Hollywood Hills, called Carrera. Why were we meeting? Because as a licensed, certified interventionist like I am, I do the interventions on people, on the addict. You're going to treatment, and I'm not leaving this room without you. So we can do it easy, we can do it hard. And then when they say, yes, I'll go, I give them 3 options of treatment centers to go, and the family picks one. And Michelle is at this new treatment center, and she's like, can I pitch my treatment center to you as an option for the people that you're doing interventions on? So that's what we were meeting on. However, she was totally distracted. Her home has been evacuated, her whole region in the Pacific Palisades. And the meeting was, we got covered what we wanted to, but there was no extra BSing, no Mickey Mousing, you know? And then she texted me the next day and said, yeah, the fire hit our building. And just imagine having your dog in your home and you being 3,500 miles away and having to worry about that. And, oh, my God. So that's why I don't need to talk or watch CNN. I can talk to friends. It's beyond. It's life and death. It's losing homes. And for whatever reason, some sports people, not all, haven't realized that what they do is not life and death. I kind of thought COVID would cure some people of that, and it didn't. But some people will never change the way they think. So anyways, that's my monologue on that. Prayers and thoughts to the people of Southern California and offering how we can help. By the way, she's part of a movement, Michelle is, to offer free therapy and counseling for those affected. To different news, but not much better, Frank Wycheck, the NFL tight end, best known for throwing the lateral that started the Music City Miracle and launched the Tennessee Titans' run to the franchise's lone Super Bowl appearance, has stage 3 CTE. Had it when he died in December 2023 at his Chattanooga home. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. His family announced the diagnosis this morning. Researchers at Boston University confirmed Wycheck had CTE stage 3, with stage 4 the most severe form of the disease. Wycheck died at the age of 52 after apparently hitting his head in a fall at home. He had made clear his wishes to work with experts for CTE research and ongoing brain injury. Sports update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Get more of what you love. Free movies and concession items, invitations to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. There are 3 rewarding programs to choose from in their rewards loyalty program, Landmark Extras. Check out landmarkcinemas.com to register for free today. Overtime's next, and lucky you, it's all viewer takeover. 902-518-3033. Let's get it. Right after this on Game Plus TV, live streaming, and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, we're back here for overtime, everybody, as threatened. We do have some breaking news coming down the pipe, and I appreciate those that were writing in earlier with the news. And I should mention, too, by the way, 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us. I'm just refreshing the text line feed, 902-518-3033. This is Overtime. It is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, as you know, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels, whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun. Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. OvertimeHL.ca. News from the Canadian Football League. The first head coach in Ottawa Red Blacks history and the man that led them to their first Grey Cup is coming back to the nation's capital. The team announced today that Rick Campbell has been named the Red Blacks special teams coordinator ahead of the 2025 season. The 54-year-old Campbell has spent the last 4 seasons as head coach and co-GM of the BC Lions, where he led the team to a pair of West Division final appearances in 3 seasons. We got some other news here. Hang on. Where did it go on my screen? From the hockey world. Here. Johnny Gaudreau's jersey number will be retired by his junior hockey team at a ceremony this weekend honoring him and his late brother Matthew. The Dubuque Fighting Saints of the United States Hockey League will raise Gaudreau's number 8 to the rafters on Saturday with the brothers' parents, sisters, and Johnny's widow Meredith in attendance at the arena in eastern Iowa. It's the first number retired in franchise history. Gaudreau was the Saints' leading scorer during the season he played for them in 2010-11 and helped them win the Clark Cup as USHL champions. What else do we have? I appreciate Rich in Edmonton, who is tracking Orange Bowl ticket prices for the big game tonight. Notre Dame, Penn State. Hey, as you know, A.J. Jakubik's coming down, the voice of the Red Blacks. He's making that big TSN radio money, man. They print money there. So Rich in Edmonton, Rich in Edmonton says $600 for Orange Bowl tickets now, according to my sources. LOL. My sources are Ticketmaster. And I know that stadium now, Hard Rock, like the back of my hand. 300 level is minimum $300 for the Orange Bowl tonight. I don't know. Well, I kind of do know why. This is a college football playoff semifinal tonight. Notre Dame fans are here. Penn State fans are here. It's a really big deal. Cotton Bowl probably going to be sold out tomorrow night in Arlington, Texas, the home of the Cowboys. And that's just the game I'm more interested in because my friend Steve Sarkisian's the coach of Texas against OSU. This one tonight really doesn't interest me at all. Again, you know, AJ asked me to go with him, and I have to decline. I can't do everything. Can't be everywhere. And I got to be on the South Florida Tribune podcast tonight with the Motor City Madmouth. Talking NHL and the Florida outdoor game. At some point, you just got to. Thanks, but no thanks. Not paying $600, not paying $1 to go to the Orange Bowl. BW in Edmonton writes in and says, Dan Tenser would be an interesting guest. Just saying. I'll tell you something about Dan Tenser. When he was on 630 Chad, the host radio station of the Eskimos and Oilers at the time, he brought me on as the voice of the Rough Riders. And he said, Rod, what would you do if you won the lottery? And I said, I already won the lottery, man. I'm the voice of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. I think he laughed, but he got the point. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, Notre Dame game tickets tend to be more expensive by default. That's the other thing. There's considerable hype for this. So this isn't just your run-of-the-mill bowl game. Like most recently, last year's Orange Bowl, which had FSU, Florida State in it, it was an also-ran game where they got motor-loaded. FSU did. They got killed. Those tickets dropped like a stone. This is the college football semifinal. Yeah, Tony in Cochrane, Alberta is right. Prayers up to the Gaudreaus and prayers up to Southern California. Colin in Ottawa writes in, and he says, interesting Bob Dice bringing back Rick Campbell to Ottawa as the Red Black special teams coordinator. I guess Bob has no fear of being fired midseason because Rick is kind of a legend around here. Yeah, you're not alone in your thinking, Colin, on that. I mean, not specifically Ottawa, but it says something about secure people. And I've known Bobby Dice very well for a very long time. He's not insecure. So consider this. If you're looking around and you have your choice of special teams coordinators, you're going to take the guy that's going to make you better. End of story. And let's be honest, since Bobby Dice took over the Ottawa Red Blacks, it's been a trajectory up, right? Bobby's not worried. He wants to win. Some people think that way. Some people don't. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, good stuff as always, Rod. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate you. And then from here, I got to cover up the important stuff. Clark has told me, here's some fun stuff to end the show. Don't give away too much information. This is my driver's license. I have to go up to Delray Bay. I don't really like the photo in it, so I need to change my address. Then I'll see if they can change the photo, because I sent a picture of that to my good friend, Mydale Mike. And he goes, that looks like a guy that drives an RV in Florida. I'm like, well, I wish it was. I don't have an RV. But I'm looking at investment possibilities around here. And one is an RV park. There are a few for sale. Can you people think about that for me over the next 22 hours? And tell me if you think that's a good idea or not. I feel like I would make a really good RV park owner-manager. What do you think, Clark? There's an RV, Clark. But what I need to look into is what happens if a crime's committed on your property? Because we would have people coming from all over America to park their RV. What if a crime's committed by, let's say, Darren DuPont from no fixed address because he lives in an RV, Rod's RV park? I just need to find out the legalities around that. Something I would kind of like to do. Carlos in Indianapolis says the RV can take the show on the road. Stop. It's funny, I was talking to Rich Sutter this morning and talked about the possibility of going to Super Bowl in an RV because the hotels are so expensive. He's like, that sounds like fun. Doesn't it? I think that's it. I think we're out. I think we covered everything. Great work, Clark and crew. We'll do it all again tomorrow on a Football Friday. Enjoy the Orange Bowl and the hockey. We'll see you tomorrow.
I like it.
This show is like a pasture of goats.